Many people think that The Boy Who Cried Wolf is a story about dishonesty or lying, maybe consequences. But I think there might be a different lesson hidden inside that old fable. And it's one that feels especially relevant for us modern women today. What if the story is actually about signals, about communication, about what happens when a voice stops being trusted? Because in many ways, that's the relationship that many of us have with our own bodies. For years, we ignore exhaustion, we override hunger, we dismiss stress and tell ourselves just to push through, to be stronger and more disciplined and more productive, to be less emotional and need less. And then one day we find ourselves asking, why can't I trust my body anymore? Why do my cravings feel so intense? Why do my hormones feel so unpredictable? Why do I feel disconnected from myself? But perhaps the better question is this: how long has my body been trying to get my attention? Welcome to Incandescent Voltage Luminous Being. My name is Tiffany, and I have been a functional medicine board certified health coach since 2017. Everything shared on this channel is for educational and reflective purposes only. This is not medical advice. You are the keeper of your own current. So I encourage you to get medical or mental health support whenever needed. Now, let's go back to that question. The question was, how long has my body been trying to get my attention? And I want to explore that question through an old fable, modern nervous system science, traditional Chinese medicine, Yin Yang psychology, and two conversations that are absolutely everywhere right now: GLP-1s and hormone replacement therapy. And I don't want to share any of this to tell you what to do or persuade you toward a particular choice or decision. But rather, I want us to become curious, because curiosity is often where the healing begins. I want you to think about the fable of the boy who cried wolf. Just like the boy who cried wolf over and over and over again before there ever was a wolf. And sometimes our bodies are a little bit like that. Not because the body is lying or because the body is broken, but because communication can become disrupted. The body rarely begins by shouting. It starts with whispers, a little fatigue, a little tension, a little hunger, a little loneliness, a little bit of grief, maybe a little bit of overwhelm. The body is constantly providing information, tiny signals, gentle nudges, subtle requests. And many of us learned not to listen. Maybe because we were busy, or because we were caretakers, or because productivity became our identity. Maybe because survival required us to override ourselves. So we say things like, not now, later, after work, after the kids, after this deadline, after the holidays, after I lose the weight, after I get my life together. And eventually the body learns something. The whisper isn't working. The subtle signal isn't being heard. So it adapts. The whisper becomes a nudge. The nudge becomes discomfort. The discomfort becomes the urgency, and the urgency might become cravings. And then we look at that craving and we wonder, where did this come from? But the craving wasn't the beginning. It was the final chapter, the final sentence in a conversation that started long before. Let's bring in the lens of yin and yang, not as something mystical, but as framework for understanding balance. Yin energy is the whisper. Yin energy is subtle, receptive, nourishing. It's the beautiful, quiet wisdom of the body. Yin energy says, I'm hungry, I'm tired, I'm hurt, I need comfort, I need support, and I need rest. Yin energy rarely demands, it simply informs. Yang energy is different. Yang energy moves and acts and amplifies and accelerates and creates momentum. And when yin energy is ignored repeatedly, yang will take over. The body increases the volume. What started as I could use some nourishment becomes I need sugar right now. All caps lettering, underlining, stars around it, and highlighting. What started as I'm feeling disconnected becomes I can't stop thinking about food. What started as I'm exhausted becomes I need caffeine and stimulation and something to keep me going. One of the core teachings I return to again and again is this. When yin energy is ignored long enough, yang energy learns to shout. Many cravings are not evidence of failure. They're amplification, the body's attempt to finally be heard. Now let's enter one of the biggest health conversations happening today, GLP-1 medications. Many people describe profound changes, less hunger, less food noise, fewer cravings, less mental preoccupation with eating. And for some people, these experiences feel life-changing, and that matters. It deserves acknowledgement. But I think there's a fascinating question beneath the conversation, a question that I do not hear discussed very often. If the body has been shouting for years, what happens when the shouting becomes quieter? What remains? Because many people discover something unexpected. When the food noise decreases, other things become easier to hear. Grief, loneliness, burnout, anxiety, perfectionism, stress, exhaustion. Sometimes food really wasn't the problem. Food may have been the translator, the messenger, the coping strategy, the distraction, maybe the companion, possibly the regulator. And this is not a pro GLP-1 conversation. It's not an anti GLP-1 conversation either. It's a body-led conversation, a curiosity-driven conversation, a body relationship conversation. Because reducing the volume of a signal and understanding that signal is not the same thing. Both of them matter. Both reducing the volume and understanding the meaning. Let's shift to another conversation that many women are navigating. Perimenopause, menopause, and hormonal transition. For many women, this season arrives with confusion, craving changes, sleep changes, energy changes, mood changes, all the changes, even weight. And the body suddenly feels unfamiliar. And often women assume I must be doing something wrong, or I've lost my discipline, or I've lost control. But what if discipline isn't the issue? What if the signal in the body itself has changed? What if your body is speaking a different language than it used to? Traditional Chinese medicine does offer an interesting lens here. Through that lens, menopause is often viewed through the changing relationship between yin energy and yang energy. As yin energy naturally declines with age, containment decreases, cooling decreases, nourishment decreases, and reservoirs become smaller. As a result, yang energy can feel louder and more intense. And this may show up as restlessness, heat, irritability, insomnia, urgency, and emotional intensity. And in many ways, the body is not malfunctioning. It's just starting to speak a totally different dialect. The challenge becomes in learning how to listen. And this brings us to hormone replacement therapy. Again, my purpose here is not to tell you what decision to make. This is a conversation between you and your healthcare team. What interests me is the signal environment. Many women report that hormone replacement therapy changes the way their body is communicating. What do I mean by that? We hear things like sleep starts to improve, anxiety is softening, the appetite shifts, cravings change, even the mood can stabilize. The internal landscape becomes different. Why? Because when chemistry changes, signaling often changes too. The volume may change, the timing may change, and the intensity may change. But the deeper invitation remains exactly the same. Can you stay in relationship with your body as the signal evolves? Now, whether we're talking about cravings, stress eating, nervous system dysregulation, GLP-1s, perimenopause, menopause, or hormone replacement therapy, the deeper question is not how do I force my body to behave, but rather, can I remain in relationship with my body while it changes? Let me say that again. Can I remain in relationship with my body as it changes? Can I listen when the signal is quiet? Can I listen when the signal is loud? Can I stay curious instead of immediately judging? Can I become a student of my own experience? Because the body is not static. It changes throughout life. And our relationship needs to change with it. The next time a craving appears, I want to invite you to a different response. Instead of choosing restriction, control, or shame, try curiosity. Pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, what is it that I ignored earlier today? Was it hunger? Was it fatigue, stress, maybe a boundary, or a need? What feeling have I not made space for? What emotion is quietly waiting in the background? Am I hearing a whisper or responding to a shout? Is the signal new, or has it been building all day? What might my body be trying to communicate to me under all this urgency? Not what it wants me to do, but what it wants me to understand. You are not someone who lacks discipline or someone who has failed. You're not someone whose body has betrayed them. You are someone learning a language, and perhaps a language you were never taught. Maybe a language you once knew and forgot, or even a language interrupted by years of productivity, caregiving, stress, dieting, achievement, or survival. But like any language, it can be learned again. One signal at a time, one moment of curiosity at a time, and one conversation at a time. The lesson of the boy who cried wolf is not that signals are bad, it's that relationships break down when signals stop being understood. Your cravings are not lies. Your hormones are not betrayals, and your body is not the enemy. Whether the volume is high or low, or the signal changes because of stress, age, medication, or life itself, the invitation remains the same: to listen and become curious, to rebuild trust, because your body never stopped speaking. It simply changed its voltage. Perhaps healing is not about becoming silent. Maybe it's about learning how to hear yourself again. The body isn't broken, it's broadcasting. And healing begins the moment we stop fighting the signal and start listening for its meaning. Before we close, I want to let you know that tomorrow in the community tab, I'm going to have some reflective questions for you there. You can use them for journaling or contemplation. You can use them with a deeper conversation with a trusted therapist or counselor, and whatever just feels supportive for you. And keep in mind, sometimes it's not about the question itself, but it's about creating space for the questions that can start to bring about the healing. Thank you for choosing to spend this time with me today, luminous being. If something in this conversation resonated with you, I would love to hear your reflections in the comments below. How did this information shift your view of yourself, your body, or the season of life that you are in? What expanded your self-awareness as you listened? These conversations are not about perfection. They're about learning how to listen more honestly to ourselves with curiosity, compassion, and clarity. And if this episode supported you in some way, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who may need these words as well. And if you'd like to go deeper, I invite you to explore my free 5-day email course linked below. It's where ancient wisdom meets modern science to support your wellness, nervous system, and your own health journey moving forward. And until next time, may you continue healing at the speed of safety.